What's up YouTube? In today's video, I will be answering my most asked question, which is why is my 3D art cracking? Why is my plaster art cracking? Why am I experiencing cracks with my texture paste? My name is Baby, my brand is the Zen Doc, and I love to share 3D art tutorials, document my journey, and hopefully inspire you on your creative journey as well. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're not, welcome back. If you're not subscribed, I hope that you will subscribe because it goes a long way to support the work that I do and encourages me to keep putting out those videos. But anyway, let's get into it. It's a pretty difficult question to answer because the reality is I'm not there with you, right? I don't know exactly how you applied. I don't know what you applied. I don't know what conditions you applied your texture paste, because all of these things work in tandem and can create cracks, right? And so it's usually a very tricky question for me to answer, but I just thought I will put all of my knowledge and information and hopefully set you on your way to becoming the artist that you want to be. My understanding of cracks is there's so many different reasons that can lead to cracks in your work. One thing that I would like to talk about is the quality of materials that you're using, right? I love to use the DAP or DAP. I'm not really sure how to say it. I think DAP is okay. Brand of plaster. And so when I'm buying plaster, that's the only brand I buy. And that's because that's the brand that I am very familiar with and works for me. That's not to say that you're boxed into that brand or that you should necessarily only buy that brand. But that's a brand that I've experienced, zero to little cracks with. I also use the USG Easy Sand 90. All of the links will be left in the description if you're looking to see which of these products I am talking about. But what I have noticed is in the past, I have experimented with some brands, and what I realize is during the drying process, they shrink a lot and that leads to cracks. And so what I will say is if you feel that your technique is not what is the issue here, if you feel like the environment that you're working in is not the issue, you may need to look at the brand that you're using and switch that up. So again, keep in mind that the materials you're using may or may not be the reason you're experiencing cracks. The second thing I want to talk about is the drying process, because at the end of the day, that's when cracks in plaster art and 3D art happens. And what happens is when you apply your texture paste, your joint compound paste, your plaster mixture, what happens is as it dries, there is a little bit of shrinkage that occurs. And if it dries too quickly or if it's drying too fast, it causes it to shrink faster, and that might cause cracks, right? And I say that because right now winter is upon us in the US, which means that the air is a lot drier. That's something to consider as well in the application of your art. If the air is too dry and your work is drying way too quickly, it's going to possibly lead to cracks. And this is something that I find even way more common when I'm working with clay, because if that clay dries too quickly, it causes it to shrink too fast, and leads to cracks. And so something that I like to do, a little tip, you may want to slow down your drying process if the air is too dry, especially because this is usually the case if the layers you're applying is thick, and we'll get into that in a second, but you might experience cracks. And so something I like to do, especially when I'm working with clay in the winter, I might put a cloth over my work when I'm done, just to kind of slow down the drying process a little bit. And it's something to keep in mind. Now, I mentioned before that layering thickly is something that can cause cracks as well. But let's just talk about layering in general, because when it comes to cracks, layering too thinly or thickly can both cause cracks. So, for example, the times that I tend to experience cracks would be when I'm trying to build volume with my texture paste. I'm trying to maybe fill up a gap, and I'm trying to just get it done as quickly as possible. And I take a really thick texture paste or joint compound mixture, and I kind of slap it on my work and walk away. And so I would say that is probably for me the most common culprit of cracks, layering too thickly. And this is because the inner layers do not have the same drying speed. They're not shrinking at the same time. They're not, your work can't breathe, so to speak, right? And so it cracks because it needs to breathe. I don't know if this makes sense, but I really hope it does. I do multiple layers a day, but depending on how thickly my paste is, I might just choose to work in sections. And that's, I'll work on a section of the art, and as that's drying, I'm working on another section, because I know I'm going to come back and add more layers, but I don't want to add too many layers all at once. And so, especially when you're working with a thick mixture, it's there's just something about those little techniques and thoughts that you should really, really keep in mind if you're experiencing cracks. Let your work breathe, really. And when it comes to layering too thinly, that really comes into play when there's too much water in your mixture. So I've said this before and I'll say it again. I use a variety of mixtures with my work, from thick to thin, but there is a fine line when you're working with thin mixtures. When you've got too much water in your mixture, you may compromise the integrity of that mixture. And so if your mixture is too diluted, it might cause cracks. So it's just something to keep in mind. And I know that, a lot of these concepts sound really abstract, but these are the things that I know, or the factors to keep in mind when you're experiencing cracks. And you might need to self-search and see which one of these apply to you. Everything I am sharing has been from my experience. I will not in any way, shape, or form consider myself an expert on cracks as it relates to 3D art. But at the end of the day, I want to finish this video by saying that cracks should not be what discourage you from pursuing your goals of 3D artistry. Don't be dissuaded by them. One thing I have learned as a creative is do not shy away from mistakes. They teach you a lot. They teach you way more than having a smooth journey will. And so if you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling like your plaster art is cracking, just take a step back, walk away, go on the walk, and come back and fix it. Thankfully, the art that we do is something that happens in layers, and you can always cover up those cracks in a way that no one will know that there was even a crack there to begin with. And so don't lose hope is what I'm saying. Keep going, keep doing what you love, because I promise you, practice makes perfect. You will get better at it. And I would also love to hear additional thoughts in the comment section. If there is something that I haven't included in this video that you know for a fact causes cracks, include it in the comment section. Let's all learn from each other. In addition to that, if there are any other questions that you guys will like to have answered, let me know. I will definitely give them a thought and see what else I can come up with, and hopefully we can all help each other. I am making sure to pull all of this information in one specific playlist on my channel so that when you have need for guidance as it relates to, popular questions about the 3D art process, whether it's, how do I make my texture paste, or what texture paste is best for me, or how do I get a really smooth finish, or why am I experiencing cracks? I'm putting all of these videos together in one single playlist so that it's easily accessible for you. So definitely check out that playlist if you have any additional questions that I may have answered. I hope that today's video was helpful for you. If you still haven't hit that subscribe button, yeah, that's my side eye. Because what are you waiting for? You already know that I'm going to continue to put out those videos and continue to share tutorials, and please support the work that I do by hitting that subscribe button, turning on bell notifications, and giving this video a thumbs up if it was helpful for you. With all of that said, it's been fun hanging out with you today, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.